Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Thank you guys so much for joining. Let's talk about tonight's episode of Saturday night's main event. But before I do that, I want to show you something in honor of John Cena. I made a display. You probably can't see him, no pun intended, but behind there is The Rock. The Rock shared some very great words about John Cena earlier today, but forgot to end his short by saying, "Your soul is still mine." But in any event, you have The Rock, one of his greatest rivals, Roman Reigns, one opponent he has never beaten but had great matches with, Seth Rollins, you see right there, two of John Cena's greatest rivals, Edge and Randy Orton, right there, a great match with Rey Mysterio on Raw Summer of 2011, where he became the WWE champion. You have The Undertaker from Vengeance 2003, Kane in his rivalry with John Cena about embracing the hate, Kurt Angle, who was actually in the audience tonight. You have two men who showed great respect to John Cena at the end of the show, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. Fun fact, both men are world champions at the moment, but fun fact, both men have had five-star matches with John Cena and have won them. Now, what sucks is John Cena has never won a five-star match, but the two five-star matches he had were against both of them, in which they both took the then championships off him. But before I give you my honest opinions on what I think about tonight's Saturday night's main event, let's talk about all the other great things that happened tonight. First off, I will say this. Obafemi versus Cody Rhodes opening the show, it was a good match, good 15 minutes. I do believe it was a good move to not have anyone win that match, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, let me give you a history lesson. In October of 2006, on WWE's Raw Homecoming, The Undertaker went one on one with John Cena, who at the time was WWE champion, as the top star of Raw versus the top star of SmackDown in Raw's Homecoming. This match was disrupted by King Booker, Big Show, and Undertaker's rival at the time, Mr. Kennedy. What made it special is that John Cena was the champion, The Undertaker was the top star, and the conscious, as Jim Ross, if he is not racist, of WWE, he said Undertaker is the conscious. So, having no one win this match, in my humble opinion, protects both stars. And the reason it protects them is because no one loses momentum and nobody has to go over higher, and both parties are protected. And ironically, a lot of times this happens with both main event stars being fan favorites on non-pay-per-view shows. So to have Obafemi and Cody Rhodes have a good competitive match and have it disrupted by Drew McIntyre, who I say kayfabe wise is a hypocrite for calling WWE an unsafe working environment while interfering in the match, was a heel move. He got his by being humbled by Oba and Cody Rhodes. And let me just say, Oba is the now of WWE as Cody Rhodes is. And I think it's very important that Oba was protected, because had Oba lost this match, many fans would say that Oba had been buried. And on top of that, there are many who believe that black wrestlers on the main roster have not been showcased to a good form. However, Naomi is a main roster talent who would be world heavyweight champion right now if she were not pregnant. She had to relinquish the championship because she has a baby. And congratulations, Naomi. So that is one good wrestler. And there is, of course, Bianca Belair, the EST of WWE. I really miss seeing her. I hope she gets well soon. I know she's out with injury, but she was awesome and she is awesome and she is the best. And I look forward to seeing her return. That being said, there are some who believe that some of the black wrestlers of WWE are not being treated, are not being booked in a good quality way. So, to protect Oba's image as NXT World Heavyweight Champion without having anyone think he was buried is a good thing and a smart thing, in my humble opinion. We had Sol Roca versus Bailey going up against, no, Soroka going up against Bailey. And if you've seen her on NXT as I have, you know Soroka is awesome. That cartwheel on the ropes that was leaped into a DDT was a thing of beauty. Everything you see from Soroka is a thing of beauty, and you don't want to take your eyes off of her because you might miss something. And when I say you don't want to take your eyes off of her, I mean that in the modest way. But she is an amazing athlete and she went up against Bailey and was successful. And of course, you don't see NXT getting buried. NXT does not usually get buried to WWE talents because all you got to do is go back to 2019 where NXT won at Survivor Series 2019. So NXT doesn't get buried, and I'm thankful for that, especially with Oba and some of the other greats. We also saw AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Leon Slater and Javon Evans. Now, these two are from NXT. They did lose, but it was a great match against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. Both Slater and Javon Evans are two people you don't want to take your eyes off of. I did find it a little bit funny, however, that when Leon Slater took the Styles Clash, the way the cameraman replayed the video to make it look like Leon Slater was completely out of it, the way he sold taking the finisher, that was kind of funny. But nonetheless, that was a great tag team match. That being said, let's talk about the main event. First off, I'm going to be honest. It was great to see everyone. It was great to see Trish Stratus, Eve Torres, two of my favorites from the women's division in the earlier eras. We saw Rob Van Dam, Mark Henry, Booker T, Kurt Angle, excuse me, Kurt Angle, and Kevin Owens was there. Kevin Owens had an amazing ovation along with Sami Zayn. The match in itself, and you can tell Lillian Garcia was trying to hold herself together doing the announcements, especially when it came time for John Cena. However, the match itself was awesome. It was so great. I actually thought John Cena could win. I was into the match, and for a minute I was like, maybe John Cena can win his last match. I would so love to see this happen. However, the match was good. I did not like the ending, and I'm going to tell you why. John Cena has built himself. His foundation was built on never give up. From 2005 to now, his foundation, never give up. In fact, when it came to 2010, by that year, he had already had that as his catchphrase because he had built himself on being the guy who never taps out. And if you saw my review before, I've said that I thought Gunter was going to win. I thought Gunter was going to go over. However, I did not expect John Cena to tap out. In fact, the fans were rooting. We were all rooting for John Cena not to give up. And like I said, if Gunter had to win, that is understandable. But to have John Cena tap out in his last match was a move, booking wise, that I strongly disagreed with. He should not have tapped out. It should have been like Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart WrestleMania 13. He should have at least passed out. I agree with the crowd. It was absolute bull snot when you watch TV editing. That's how it sounds when you're editing bad words. So I'm going to just make it sound funny. That was absolute bull snot. Absolute bull snot. And the crowd's reaction to Triple H was hilarious. I appreciate the video package. By the way, it was great to see everyone come out, and it was also excellent to know that The Undertaker, one of my all-time favorites, was also there to show respect to Cena. Even Cody Rhodes and CM Punk presented their world championships, and someone in the crowd was not crying, they were only cutting onions. That was hilarious. But John Cena should not have tapped out. And if I did not know any better, I could be wrong. I don't want to spread rumors and make up lies. This is just an observation, and I hope I'm wrong. But if I did not know any better, John Cena is undefeated in Washington, D.C., winning at SummerSlam 2005 against Jericho. I watched John Cena versus Triple H and Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series 2009 before watching Saturday night's main event. And then it clicked on me that this might be Triple H's revenge for losing to John Cena for the WWE Championship in 2009. Just like he got revenge on Cody Rhodes destroying the throne by letting him lose to Roman Reigns the first time at WrestleMania 39. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. Excuse me, I was checking, making sure I didn't run out of time. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not, but that might be an observation. I hope this was not done out of spite because Triple H and Shawn Michaels lost 16 years ago. But in any event, like I said, if John Cena had to lose, he should have lost via pass out. John Cena should not have tapped. I'm sorry I made the camera shake, guys, but John Cena should not have tapped out. It should have been pass out. That way, just like The Undertaker walked away with never doing the Taker-Rooney, we all remember 2002, John Cena could have walked out knowing he never tapped out. I don't know what breaks my heart more. John Cena tapping out in his last match or The Undertaker losing at WrestleMania 30. I don't know what hurts more. But in the meantime, I will say this. I do appreciate that John Cena has had an incredible career. I appreciate that John Cena gave me something to emulate in school that would not have gotten me sent to the principal's office because I used to do this in school all the time. And I'm grateful that I had something to do in school that wouldn't get me into any type of trouble, especially for somebody like me who was raised on certain strong morals. So, with the way I was raised in a good way, I'm glad I grew up on that. And as great as the attitude was, I could do without emulating D-Generation X because when I found out later what that meant, I was like, yuck. But thank you, Cena, for giving me something to emulate without getting in trouble in school. In the meantime, my top 10 favorite reviews on John Cena's greatest matches, part 1 and 2, are up. If you want to celebrate, be sure to check those out. In the meantime, I'm your host, Daniel Cody. That's all the time I have for you today. Cena should not have had to tap out. That's why the crowd is mad at Triple H. In the meantime, great respect to John Cena. Thank you, Cena, for giving us such great memories. Until next time, hustle, loyalty, and respect. Word